one. But me kwa homa so na me lawyer Paul Kumi any enkomo wo no a constitutional lawyer, private legal practitioner na anope me ma no achen. Kan so to me kan of good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to say.
Eradi ada Roma, ye nyina ye ho ye na nso e.
Me ho ye pa.
I said the entire to nkakura o cancel.
So sana ya.
Kessben.
Kan so de say. Kan so na de say ni ana.
But you say.
What they say?
Oh, not quite. But if you feel say cap no is appropriate for you, when you wait, I think you look much more handsome.
I see. Thank you. I don't pay your friend, and as I say, what so. And first of all, the Director General for EOCO over the weekend, Nanu Fiada, at a particular event, or come a speech, and so Nanu Yankas and Nanu Akopasa Bamban say, number one issues I buy, you know, in an attempt, the states never prosecuting, now yet me finding the very good measures I bet me aboard with the prosecution, no. The Director General is making it clear, say it's becoming quite difficult. Say prosecution no ebet me so smoothly. The same thing is the relevant laws are ebet me aboard more prosecution. Any adwuma EOCO no. So relevant laws no is non-existent, and you know it becoming a challenge. Mamintio on this, many have said say what prejudice a year prosecution no na enkonkosi baby and said the Ghana higher canon I'm sure na akwa foolish case. But I mean you no pay and this answer me said the Frasi I able boba.
You me that say me sanchi
Kessben.
The already said the mami ya tiwa adudankwa enye lawyer. And you know answer na obeka asem say you know the possibility in say the persons that she might have consulted in her office, you know, who may be lawyers, you know, na omaman sa impression, you know. Say oni omo enkasaye na onoa on her own it can be beside there, then that you have been hugely unfortunate. But I want to believe that she might have come up with this submission way based on a certain advice that might have been given her by certain lawyers at the EOCO office. So to that extent, it made to me at their channel. But for her to say, you need laws, it made to me, friends, until number one, as far as this case is concerned, you know, a bit difficult for me to understand. What is happening is that I thought that there are some of these speeches that are made, you know, amount for capture the area a bit controversial, no.
Okay.
But if we all get the benefit of listening to the whole gamut, the whole context or they can't say seminar, it be not a better answer. Now, in the first place, you know, now one, as an individual and the court for, he has been charged with the various offenses. You know.
Okay.
I don't think that there can be any of the persons who are involved in these men's good transactions, you know, I don't think any of the people will say they met Nam1 personally and gave him any money. And I said Nam1 met them individually and gave them any assurances to say they deal in gold and gold deposits and transactions and things like that. And you know, and where you can see that the person is dealing in some fraudulent activities. Over a corporate law more, men's good exists as a corporate personality.
Okay.
If the men's good say company, you know, I get different from Nam1 as an individual. If the men's good, I get a corporate personality. Of course, a human being, but onoka edeno. And sana Nam1 so edeno. It you know say a base activity the ecosu our men's good Men's Gold as a corporate entity, as a corporate persona. I'm not going to say again also. And it's said in the courts. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
It's you know, through this gold deposits and gold dealings and all those type of things, you know. Of course, we can handle that aspect, you know, but it should be in respect of Men's Gold, not him as a friend saying I'm one. Now, under your present company act, you know, there's something which is looked as the beneficiary, your friend saying, all more beneficial interest in the said company, you know. And you know, one will say that yes, we are going to look at the directors, we are going to look at the shareholders and stuff like that. But anywhere you are going to put number one before the court, you have to first and foremost link him to Men's Gold. So Men's Gold as an entity should also be before the court. It will be sure all former workplace boss, you know, FM boss, you know, or no company, you know, is before the High Court and kind of not
okay.
Because the transaction was between the company, you know, a director and a beneficiary, a person holder, a woman. I hope you understand what I'm saying. We will have to first and foremost, you know, ask ourselves, I don't think that young Men's Gold and court will be. Because Men's Gold and the entity started this whole idea now. Because the people who went to Men's Gold, they didn't go to number one. The only thing that we need to be able to say, Men's Gold and number one there. It is a Abasia, Sikasi, Ayabasa. Now, one bit of assurances, of course, the thing, Men's Gold, you know, even though we are talking about say, a corporate entity, you know, it is an official entity and it works through human beings. I hope that's what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
It works through human beings, and then it will work through its directors. And so now one may be one of the directors. And you know, do we have the other directors also before the court? And now, before so big within one, a court, you know, as I said, would be on only company inside the eco court. But when you make reference to the Companies Act of 2019, you know, it also defines a court as the High Court. Ayeka Act 992. When you are making reference to a court, the court in reference to a High Court.
Okay.
So what it means is that if you want to bring Men's Gold into this matter, you cannot bring Men's Gold as a corporate entity to the High Court. It has to go to the. You cannot bring Men's Gold as a corporate entity to the circuit court. It will have to go to the High Court. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, me too.
One will have expected that because it is a, in quote, a crime that would have been committed by this corporate entity, where they ought to have started this case, ought to have been at the High Court, but not at the circuit court.
Okay,
that's what. But I don't want us to get into those legalese, but just to address the issue as to near a friend saying, EOCO boss, Kano. The various charges that were brought against a friend saying, Nawano, a friend saying, or engage in activities license on fine.
Yes, but because you're banned so but two major important things. Now you have said, sir, when it comes to Men's Gold, in this particular issue, Men's Gold ought to have been sealed. Say as a corporate entity, as a company now can so yedene court. But in company law, we also know, sir, at any point in time, the veil can be lifted to go after the people behind the company. Now, if that is what has been done, then you will be right by saying number one should not be the only person at OFAC trial. And then again, no, I'll ask you on the jurisdiction of the court presiding over this particular matter, as much as and also very important, if Men's Gold as a corporate entity, no, ought to have been sued as well in this particular case.
You see, the charges are the
Kessben.
Now once, you know, abetment of crime, defrauding by false pretenses.
Yes.
And after carrying on a deposit taking business only license to do that. And that's a sale of minerals without license.
Yes.
And now unlawful deposit taking and then money laundering. Probably what can be brought against now one may be the issue of money laundering. Right?
Without the charges now,
at least, yeah, money laundering it deals with the individual.
Okay.
It you know say yeah can't say for instance carrying on deposit taking a business without license it will be in respect of the company. Yeah, can't a sale of minerals without license but yet in respect of the company.
Okay.
Yeah, can't a deposit taking it will also be in respect of the company. But when it comes to money laundering, what can I say? We will have to now see the extent which the said money laundering activity, you know, was triggered by or no, now one as an individual. I hope you understand.
Yes, I do.
For me, you know, I will have wished that the EOCO boss never said anything in respect of this. Unfortunately for her, no, the Deputy Minister for Finance has also come to say something. I just said, yeah, two persons representing government in a way, almost can think at cross purposes. Because the Deputy Minister for Finance is saying, as someone, EOCO boss, and yet the stance and as the official decision or contemplation of the Attorney General Department. What he is saying is that the Attorney General Department is bent on pursuing this particular matter. Right? Of course, when it comes to even the friends and EOCO law, even gives them the opportunity where the Attorney General has even asked that the EOCO should prosecute. Indeed, the EOCO also has the powers of prosecution, but it will have to get the prior approval from the Attorney General's Department. So the question is, this particular matter we are a year before that circuit court, was it at the instance of EOCO or it was at the instance of the Attorney General? In any case, the prosecutor can say they are waiting for advice from the Attorney General. So I will have wished that Nana Chiwa didn't mention this thing at all, because they are working towards the Attorney General when it comes to the issue of prosecution. Unless the Attorney General has given them that trial approval, they should do that on their own. So when the prosecutor has come before the court and has told the court to say, some more dates for adjournment because we are waiting on the advice of the Attorney General. You don't have to go and stand anywhere and talk about things like this. I hope you understand the context.
Yes, I do.
That comment you want to make, it was needless. She just pushed herself under the bus for nothing.
But cancel that the point again. No, my question can be earlier on. Clarity on that. We know company law. No, at any point in time, no directors behind the company. No, their faces can be shown. And you believe to veil. No, to bring the directors in for prosecution and all of that. Now, at what point in time, and you Men's Good as a company, and they see one facing prosecution, and then it precisely tells me, sir, with all the charges I was no, majority of them are yediegu number one, so no, charges and say comma company, no. Then with the issue of money laundering, no, has to do with the individual. So if some prosecutors need inside there, why do they prefer such charges against an individual, knowing very well say and you want no company, no?
Okay. One thing is by and practice more. There are instances people can even slip in the approach of the law and now say the procedure is not or follow no.
Okay.
I'm sure you have heard of that renowned case where a citizen now went to see the president versus Chachukata, which obviously ought not to have been the case. Right? But that didn't change things much. Later they were able to correct that mistake and turned in the Republic versus Chachukata, which led to Chachu being imprisoned over Kaya when even the court had said earlier on, the Supreme Court had said earlier on, saying the fast track high courts were not constitutional. And then they will have to change certain things at the Supreme Court by way of the membership, and then later on as it were, attend the earlier ruling of the Supreme Court. So for me, the issue as to whether they are before the wrong forum, it's not so much of and yet that fatal, right? So when they realize that they are the wrong forum, they can just inform the court and say they are discontinuing their matter, and then they can send the court to the appropriate forum. So that is where it will have to go. But I am focusing on that aspect, and I will come about the corporate veil, the other things.
Yeah.
Corporate veil will be lifted only when one begins to see, say, in the transaction or in the activities of the company, it does not look like things have been done above board. You are now lifting the veil of the company, to see persons who are behind that particular activity, and for you to say, now instead of us now holding on to the company, for instance, company, at the car, about say 2,000. Company and said I need assets are between just at 2,000. So that will be when the corporate bill will be lifted and for us to see those persons who are behind it. And then if they have something, then we can now even hold them personally liable and for them to be a person chased and for that amount of money to be paid. Indeed, the corporate bill could be lifted under various circumstances. But what we are submitting here in the sense, this particular matter is essentially an activity that had been carried on by Men's Gold as a corporate entity. We have not got to the extent where Men's Gold as an entity is putting up any amorphous posture. And it's everything here say, so that we can now hold them on. So when you are now bringing NAM 1 to court, you are holding NAM 1. You're going to be vicarious liability. What it means is that any activity via Men's Good undertake, would be a home to go another, would be a home to and so ever NAM 1 so. In the meanwhile, who go do court on this one? You are not going to say NAM 1 XG, Sanko Witika. What they can say, any company Negi Sanko Politica. But any company Negi Sanko Politica, under the company law, the company can be held criminally liable. So why have you not brought the company to court?
But rather NAM 1. Okay. Kaso Jesu kakrama me any dey question na me man Nana Bonsu ache. Nana Bonsu customer of Men's Good. Was also executive member at the Coalition of Men's Good, aggrieved customers of Men's Good. Nana want to make a good morning to say.
Good morning. In
Mpomboko there. Okay. Very well. And a quick one, Enanu Fiada, made him say what and Koma Yedi as a customer, now former customer of Men's Good, Usika Eco Care Mono. Your take on this, any the association no more years so far upon hearing the CEO, Director General of EOCO Ekaye.
Yo, Medase, Anope, Metia, with your phone na study openya or Kankata and HHM. As a Uti, the submission, and some other criminal Kambuma. Nice, and painful any down home and a person of Aquan so now, which is customers and now or musica said the Peter Mom the Bomb brand if you want to. Chimu say, Men's good at semi eba ye a better a guy. The main pain for tonight can say, said the assembly city no. Chima mention maintenance was in the customers in Sikana, I could give me epe. If you campaign for the car, I could be no good one. Among Tone a Japadia na Kaka was a better open customers in the car. And no, if you are able to pay for it, and among if you are Osika 10 cities, near my mobile cities, the employers and social, and no. Women, you are criminalizing me at the court here. Some may know that the people who are actually that's sorry, that's and paying for the associate that's what I want to say, evidence. Yeah, just a me a prosecution and I'm one. Here is some people say, if you didn't know me, the women do. I dance your bay, and I said, you know, who we are. Into more modern how so it is customers with a fraudulent company, our Modibuno. Inya, you say, Obu ne pa na se wonya before obekwaso abu akopem say obi share before Ghana ye ya so bi mai obi a pasuje na so enya nwanwa say da bi be so na Ghana ensemesi ama wo for so be so because ensem na esi no trans na adwene ho a entakebia ni nchese obi di ni sika akoto baabi na aban adwumakuo aba abonten aba beka se adwuma na omoye no watomra nti ye ma no kwan ma ne nya adwuma musika na ekodi mu so ye ntwa ye bi nipa na ekokot ye da sori ya mo se muni adanse bi a chese nipa no wa ye bone nti ye busa ye ho ase nti bi na mugina so amogu adwuma no ye bi ye ni ye hwe ye twen se de bi beso anasa bi betwen ne be ho be ka se na mo no meja no na to ya hwe de e beto so a ebisi.
But I am more court. I want one same way. I am more court. More a part of the case as an association.
Your court, but your part, your witnesses. Your witnesses, your proceeding, your EOCO. Now, it will maybe now say, I have a young Kobia and your family trusted that. You could be an amount to get or Boa into Antonia appear Konya any case. And you cost one now, yes, sir. Now, to be any pana, you want that you see that would be again. Will be the auditor, you could do an cry when you be. And you be a case, I have the frustration in your also. The men I was a car, yes, to come and never pack. But your bomb modern say, court here in the Unipa Mino and the equity, the duty, you said the EOCO.
Okay, but Nana Joshua, because of my memory, so now in this case, customers and association, and your party to the case, automatically, plaintiff Nana say complainant, why in this particular case.
Okay, my chair. Union Kubano, and to tell him, say, I sympathize with him. A natural tendency by anyone to want to maximize any resource via or work. And what he said, the view of my BTB amount, Papa Edama, naturally, no, BTB. So I understand them. I will encourage them to continue doing what they are doing. Then on can be so and then for and kasa. Now one more said you me a baby able we are there. I even contemplate suicide and all manner of things. Once they are alive, the opportunity to get to almost that they will be to nearby. I know it is not easy. But so they be not sensitive. See, Obama and they should soldier on and see that times be 10 better for them. Now almost I can almost so many and that's one. Now to your question, yes, there may be no complainant, technically speaking, but abino issue of money laundering, abandoning issue of illegal deposit taking. The third a company, and I said the third personality can be brought before court. So for me, and I will have to be clear here, the basis upon which I did NAM 1, the ACO court, and they say there's false pretenses. Carry on of deposit taking business without license in the home. These are not things that we better ACO report to. These are offenses that might go against certain statutory provisions.
Okay.
He is expected to have license before he can operate a certain scheme. Now, the argument is that he was operating without a certain license. I don't think a mark a cost stop. I don't think a mark P or court. So it cannot necessarily be said. NAM 1 ewo court because wajin kofo bisika non for musika no farm or moye. Are you getting the argument?
Yes, me argument, and it will not necessarily have to do with the fact say na enkrofo akoye investment wo and unti na wafa enkrofo sika, the more reason why I prosecuting no. But for the fact that there are certain statutory laws will go against at the time I won't grant the needed licenses or undertaking such an operation.
Precisely.
Okay.
So when somebody is telling you that it be a chain, na you fast when you na ya so educate amount. The person who may be giving you a half promise.
I
hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
Because the amount that necessarily flow from that issue with what available opportunity are open to me. And they say you go to court.
So in this case, as I said, customers need to call court for civil case.
You go to court at the civil level.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Me too, I say counsel.
And therefore, if you say in the better, oh my, such a promise say, you know, for this number of days, this amount of money, that you can hold. You decide to cancel. You think a friend say your principal no over me. You need to cancel 200 and not see it. You know, court ain't that company no. Kessben. You understand me? That company no. And find you can find my. The exact thing is so add that for this number of years you know. We are then. Over that interest in so. So first and foremost, you know, the question they have to ask themselves is Men's Gold still a good entity? And now that Men's Gold has been liquidated. If Men's Gold has been liquidated, who was the official liquidator?
Okay.
So these are the things that the customers should be asking, the Men's Gold customers should be doing. They should forget about that court matter. No? What that government will prosecute or the government will prosecute, it will not ignore to their interest. What will not be their interest? And it's somebody Men's Gold at the court. Now, court judgment is saying, Men's Gold at your mocha. If Men's Gold, the interest can include the interest. And that should be when that corporate of the corporate bill that one will not come into issue.
I see.
But if they are going to wait on this criminal case, and that is all that they can do. That's all that they can do. Even when it comes to those persons now, they don't bear witnesses to the matter. No. It may happen that not even one of them will come before the court.
As key witness.
Because the charges against Omono, again, more like statutory infraction on the part of Men's Gold.
And I'm part of Mitimba Mkakawa.
Maminti on another so eti more cases mudi Men's Gold and then NAM 1 EOCO court na.
Yes, that's a process, you know.
Okay.
A lawyer. No, after lawyer anymore. You jai because EOCO eba bonten because omoje na japa die nyina e de omonta to so ni gold bars bi any other normal kwan on befa so omode say no ebetua customers ka meaning if it was a deception or whatever it was no yeah we be attach no ekoti ye and my customers nyani da so bi say EOCO abam have the asemi have to jade ya ene e hu hia say ye be high ho bebre ya for court because medical got already ye ho ate ye dada court ye ko sikasem bebre ene ade ade nti customer bebre lose interest nti yoko ba mu be kan ta asem no ne ye woni da so te ene ye be da so ya ma yoko ba be ka te na mo an sikasem ko ana taku e wo bank ya gina japade ne card ye wo trasa ye list that you man na at the bar social media at the bar radio station ahodo e be kan sempen fonhwe na sikawe ene japade na mo awon no mo nti an se ta asem hu bi nti the lawyer bit me and answer the opinion of kata no so won chemu bi ho no ma o ma ye hu se eno so kosi sei e wo
okay
Cancel. Cancel. Me too.
So I'm very much interested in this, and I will be honest with you. The humility with which the gentleman is talking, you realize that maybe people assisting to get to the resolution of this matter.
Okay.
The other way, and yet just that we are a assembly. It is you lose out, even they have a good case. Now, of the EOCO, for a moment, you say, almost easy, friend saying,
number one near yes,
men's good near maybe. Now, home, now, almost the almost I know so almost a certain leadership, and that is why he is speaking for and on their behalf. He began to say, yeah, sure, let it be from Yoko for the mom will say, then we are sure from their mom one.
Cousin Madiniano, because on one cousin here, executive member. Now, sir, assurance name free Yoko Hobai, the lawyer ABC said, your mom official letter be to that effect, Anna.
But official letter, paying for no, and about Urakaya, and maybe so my echo, and I'm one see my own better. Police custody.
Yeah.
Honum na penfoni ya ka se anamo aye tu no enyama kwan so na ye fa na emum ye pese fa ma so a o je court na ne bia yokokura so atu anamo a sisi ya o mo fa so ama o ma hwese en sabe kan etika and that was assurance penfoni ye tena se o mo dem ema ye de betu social media ema me kai se Kessben where me eti sa se no kwan kobo Bekaya opening back honorable to the Japan so he so can say one crowd the bank account at that time not 200 million cedis and a woman and with some customer na the assurance and paying for any share customer leadership any share or more no.
But assurance from Yoko, no, it wasn't official, by word of mouth. What more can be at Mama Koma Tomoyemas at that time? But young Katasimbian to so let be any Bibiano uncle so, and from there, no one more sounds one from I engage him be right?
Well, my friend, let the Edicoma Omo, call Parliament, and you call Council of State, and 1 year Tanaka, say. Now, I am sharing anymore. And we can provide evidence to that effect. Let I come out.
Okay, when you any reaction from any of these bodies, so let them
yeah, reaction, yeah, response in and by Parliament and our more engaged the last 2 months ago or so. Say, or mobile raising issue no at parliamentary level now, market on the Paswa. Or mobile debate or Parliament.
But aside Parliament, maybe a model letters the call in no institutions no obian ho respond there, right?
Obian respond but
okay. Can Mami to your defense?
Yeah, that is quite unfortunate. Na eno na so there be a month for any constitution to be said. Some games are being played against these persons. Most of whom may probably not be having any huge clout to compare things to be done in their favor. Now, also, no can say, almost call now one to see home. The someone say, I don't know yet, and about 2 papa are almost fashion. That's almost music, I know they are almost court. Yes, even though Yoko, I can't say, which means easy, now one, any man good in the na omo ati that a friend saying Yoko will have to even go formally to court for the court order classification. And that's even where some person more turn in the man, they also have to go to court. And for the court to make an order for that particular president. To the establish. And that's it too. They will have to even go to court and for it to be established there. Now one, the alter ego. You can't say alter ego, which means that we now one is in China. Exactly, now one men's good. Now men's good is now one.
Okay.
But that will have to be established in the court. But that alter ego people men's good. These are being number one. All these things will have to be done and according to what my court has said. Because of this situation, so I would advise them first. I'm not saying they should ignore the government assurance. But I would advise them the lawyer, in Casa. Now all pursues are several aspects.
Okay.
Because someone here in terms not a compassion. There is the liquidation of men's gold in one. Some being young judgment that a better men's gold for income than more. Because it's the liquidated company, there will be nothing there. If they are not through the liquidation, no. Or more can't get in that the new home is here. If they are not the first can be here. It's Dama and the corner call official liquidator and the back of say, you can't have to
okay.
You know, their case is a mobile, a yakakra. But you see, don't let them do the plan. But you are not, and yet men's good issue, you know, that you discuss, you know, technically speaking. You discuss that statement, you know, EOCO boss,
yes.
That is what we are discussing. And I am taking a serious view of the first statement, you know, because under the EOCO Act, you know, there are a lot of things that the EOCO Act, an anti-corruption, and as an anti-graft institution as somewhere.
Yeah.
It, you know, if we are having the head coming to tell us to say, it does not appear that there is a law able to name number one as an individual. Or somebody we can describe as an alter ego of men's goal, you know. Then we are treading on dangerous paths. Mami never can create the responsibility of EOCO.
Okay.
EOCO no. Almost the and they say, the winning friends, prevent, and not detect organized crime. If you need to say, in the case of men's goal activities, you know. Can that be seen as organized crime? And what did the EOCO do to prevent that particular activity of men's gold?
Okay.
Because we are being told that men's gold was operating without a valid license. So if it was doing that as part of new mandate, you know, I thought to be prevented. Is there anything on left for that? Let's say during the operation of men's gold, you know. EOCO didn't think that it was a Ponzi scheme. Ultimately, you know, eventually, I think of one. And not at the time, not yet the order say, men's gold and close it down. No? The government anticipates that the closure was going to create this huge problem. I hope you're not going to say.
Yes, I do, Council.
It is beginning to look like people are blaming the government to say, men's gold
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And it will still be operating seamlessly.
Okay.
But all of us know, say, the whole thing, you know, was more like a Ponzi scheme. A baby need to have collapsed. If you are not time, no, a bit collapse, you know, a bit late in time. The second point, as you may say, I think I will facilitate the confiscation of the proceeds of crime. And you know, men's gold issue, you know, men's gold near my bank and on my day and on my confiscate. Are there any proceeds of men's gold activities? So those are the assurances that they should be giving to the people. Say, anyway, I hope you understand me.
Yes, I do.
And yet, yes, the raw assurance say you can be them at base. Because this should not be like they keep on keeping on. It should be you.
Right.
It should be that way. It's a very way to if EOCO has earlier on come to tell them, say, oh, we will ensure that we'll give you your money. Nothing, no, Nipana. You expect to say, be a better with this Ganabano. Yes, they said the head, no air can't say and say, we can't find anything to have it to prosecute the person with her. Now, I get in why you don't cry. Probably the last two issues are making the back. And they say, at least, as I said, any financial transaction to be on the issues about money laundering and all those type of things, EOCO should be able to be doing those things. It is a EOCO, and yes, I never will be a. That's what you're done for innocent persons because you'll be answer person who any figure. That's I could do this level. So, one is the best one. Yeah, can't you think of all this? When I'm going to figure, now I'm going to figure and you say, you can have more than the move and no, are you saying that government of the day ought to have also been proactive and gone in at the appropriate time and to ensure them we opening us a problem?
Okay.
That's what I would say. But I would say that I do not believe say Edia Mameno can raw say they cannot prosecute. Edia she said it in a particular context. But if her retention was truly said, they can't find any law to prosecute Namwan with their. I will tell her say she should tell this to the Marines.
Council, I don't pay, but me now I say any Akwenya. Okay. Me do yes. And a quick one. The Obeka dear chat members no say mobile day.
Nanka council nkoya nanka me pese EOCO for act omudi adwuma ombegina so de gu men's gold no at 292 no asemba enti sua de kakra me yehu se emra ne se omokete se so mu de bi sa ekoso a omugu adwuma ko na the person so me ne se omo confiscating assets na omo hu kwan obefa so ne be settle customers eno na ma yenya ahodaso enya gidie wo EOCO mu se anamo bi sa ebetimi aba enti omo de mra no omgina so de gu men's gold omo be gina so de age adwuma na ye adwuma to the latter anko ba ne sa na ama ensemu nyina ekoba ye enti se nka council koya enkoya nka ehonom so no customers do
no mon consult council why na yentimi ni nkombo ni nyina wo afidie so me brain enti anope ma me na wase na me na council so ase council anope me da ase okay nyame ensure enti lawyer Pokumi Adamini Nedin Common, constitutional lawyer, Nana Bonsunso, a executive member at the Coalition of Aggrieved Men's Good Customers, and I don't pay any more wedding common. I believe so when you have the full important details.